Hey everyone, Catch 'em All Collectibles here. In today's video, I'm going to talk about what you're doing wrong, what I have done wrong in the past, what you need to fix today. I mean, yesterday would have been ideal, but it's a new day. Let's start today. I made these mistakes. Don't follow in my footsteps. Learn from my mistakes without making them yourself. Maybe you're already making them, but let's get on the right track today. So number one, separate accounts. I've talked about this so many times, and the hurdle is so low. The barrier is so low to get this fix in. Whether you're just a hobbyist, if you're making a little money, I mean, we'll get to it in number two. But if you're making a little bit of money, if there's a chance someday you could make money, it's so easy to just get a credit card devoted to Pokemon. I made a video on credit cards. So many great rewards to them. If you're not a credit card person, debit card, maybe separate bank account. It's such a low barrier to just separate things out. That way, if or when you start making a little money, if or when those 1099s roll in, are they going to be coming at $600? Is it going to be $20 to $20,000, 200 transactions as it's historically been? That thing that keeps getting kicked down the road. We don't know when that's going to land, but before the 1099 lands in your lap, have things separated. Next week's video, I will use today's video as a foundation. I will show you how I do my taxes next week. I will show you how simple it is when you have a separate, not just credit cards and bank accounts, separate eBay account. I have a personal eBay account that I buy if I'm buying like a household item, a vacuum cleaner, whatever it may be. Same thing with Amazon. We have a personal Amazon for our household, our Amazon Prime, our Prime Video, all that stuff. But then I have a business Prime account because when I pull the year-end statements, and I'll show you this next week more in depth, but when you pull the statements, not having to separate out, oh, that was the new stroller for the kids, that was the Mew UPCs, it's all business on one, all pleasure, personal, whatever, on everything else. So next week we'll go deeper into that, but yeah, step one, separate everything. Keep the Pokemon, keep the cardboard, keep the business, flipping, investing, whatever it is, keep it separate. Number two, set up as a legitimate business. Treat it as legally it would probably be classified. And some of this will even feed into three. Like there's a lot of overlap between these three simple steps that you need to do now. Should have been doing all along. Set up as a legitimate business. By our IRS definition, if you are profiting or intending to profit, I mean, there are certain things, 3 out of 5 years, this and that, getting really into the weeds. But at its most basic level, if you are making money, intending to make money, you're operating as a business. There are certain benefits that affords you that a lot of people are missing out on because they're not operating above board. A lot of people, this is getting really dangerously close into stepping into number three, but a lot of people avoid that step. They avoid the step of, I'm in one location. I'm in upstate New York, and I went to my county building. Where I live, it's called one thing. I got a DBA, doing business as. I got some fictitious name, some places call it. A lot of people will talk about going and setting up an LLC. Maybe I'll make a devoted video for that someday, but that's overkill for a lot of people in this space, in my opinion. Consult with your professionals, go with their recommendations. I'm not making a recommendation towards or against an LLC, but I think a lot of people dive into it without really knowing what it entails, what it costs, and if there's actually any tangible benefit to them over it. By default, if you are making money, intending to make money, you become, the day you start doing that, in the eyes of the IRS, under your social security number, you become a sole proprietorship. So it's already there, it's already happening. You don't really have to do anything. Just as you start transacting, it happens. And if the 1099s come in your name, that's sole proprietorship. But embrace that. Embrace it. Don't fear it. Don't run away from legitimate business. And tying back to number one, business credit cards, business checking accounts, all these things that will benefit you when you go to have everything separate, when you go to pull your statements, as I'll show you next week. Setting up and keeping everything legitimate, having that brand, building that brand. Like maybe you're not going to do the whole Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all that, but having a name, having a brand, having some recognition really does a lot of things. And then the windows that get opened, the opportunities that get opened when it comes to what you're allowed to write off. I mean, if you're a hobby, You are buying things not intended for resale. You're paying sales tax. You're buying stuff intended for resale. You're not paying sales tax. And certain states don't have sales tax anyways. All this stuff that I'm talking about in today's video, all this stuff I'm talking about in all these tax-related videos are highly, highly region specific, and not just region specific. I will have a spreadsheet next week where I show you two identical businesses in the same state, structuring themselves differently, calling themselves differently, basically, can have a completely different tax situation. So we'll dive into a lot next week. This is going to be the more abbreviated, abridged version. But yeah, embrace your status as a business and use it to your advantage. All the write-offs that open up, all the things that unlock, all the doors that open. We're getting to that point now where the last few sets have not sold extremely well. A lot of them are selling cheaper to the end consumer through eBay, through TCG Player, through TikTok, than they are through wholesale distribution. Your time window, like, we don't know how long that will be. Maybe it'll be short, but you could probably get in at this point if you want to. If you are legitimized as a business, if you have that resale certificate, if you have, where I live, it's called Certificate of Authority, get in distribution. Create that foundation, build that core part of your business, build that connection, build that relationship that you can only do once you're legitimized. Step one, separate everything. Step two, legitimize as a business. Embrace it. Take all the benefits that come with it. And number three, really just bringing it all together. So much overlap. Don't fear legitimized business. Don't fear fees. Don't fear taxes. Because that fear that a lot of people in this space have. I think I'm frequently asked, what did you do wrong early on? That was one thing that I did wrong. I didn't do it all the proper way out of the gate. And the day those 1099s hit, I spent way more with an accountant than I should have. I was structured the wrong way. Things went south because I feared all of it. Taxes. I was ignorant to it. I feared it. I didn't know all that stuff. And I went through all that back pre-Pokemon with coins and video games when I was doing all that. Don't fear fees. Don't fear taxes. Because the fear of them, you're doing so many things suboptimally by not, step one, separating, step two, legitimizing as a business, and then step three, paying the taxes, paying all the fees. And on this front too, not just taxes. I mean, taxes are a big fee. Done properly though, a lot of things become write-offs, as I was talking about in step two. A lot of things get opened up to things that you may be buying anyways. They need to be, we're not going to get too deep here, but they need to be regular and ordinary, I believe is how the IRS defines it. They need to be regular and ordinary and necessary, something like that, to be qualified as like a write-off. But a lot of things you're doing anyways. If you're doing it as a hobby, when you drive to the post office, when you buy supplies, certain things you can't write off until you are a business, sole proprietor, LLC, S corp, whatever you go with. You need to be doing it that way. You need to be, and ultimately at the end of the day, you might find that you're breaking even. You might find that you're losing a little bit of money. You might find that done the right way, you can actually legitimately, legally avoid taxes to the extent where your tax situation's better because you embraced everything, because you set up. And again, next week's video will go a lot deeper, shed a lot more light on specific examples of person A, person B, doing it the wrong way, doing it the right way, S corp, LLC, sole proprietor. Like I will break some of these things out in specific spreadsheet examples. But for today, we're going to stay big picture, high level, vague, a little bit more vague. Another thing, fearing fees. So many Instagram, so many Reddit, Facebook, all these people who will, they'll do PayPal transactions up to the limit, but not above it. They'll do friends and family only. They'll do Venmo only. They'll do this, that. Like, we all know what they're doing. We all understand and know what they're doing. They're fearing fees. They're fearing taxes. They're fearing all the big scary words and all that big scary stuff. And it limits your growth. It limits your potential. Another thing is platform fees. A good service, and I would put eBay at the top of this list. A good service will more than pay for what you're like spending on it. Like eBay, 12% fee. I think it's 13% fee if you don't have a store, 12% fee if you do. And promoted listings and all that, whole different conversation. I've had a conversation on promoted listings. But a good service, and shout out my consignment service. That's there. If you want a 1 to 4% to sell your single graded cards greater than $250, I sell them through my eBay vault. That's there. A good service will more than pay for itself. And eBay, I mean, I ship 10 to 20 orders a day. I know people who ship 200, 300 orders a week, a day, whatever your duration is. Like, somebody's doing it. And you're not going to do that through Facebook. You're not going to do that through Instagram. Going all the DMs, going to pirate ship, going to the post office. It gives you the platform. It puts everything in one concise location. It allows you to pull the reports, to do all your taxes legitimately at the end of the year, as I'll show you next week. And most people, if you deal with them on Facebook, if you deal with them at a convention, if you deal with them on Instagram, well, it goes for 100 on eBay and you're not paying the fees. So I want to pay 88. I want to pay 85 because I know you're saving the fees. So if you go off platform, people are going to just assume and expect. People are going to expect and feel entitled to saving that fee that you're saving, right? They want the whole thing. They don't want to split the fee savings. They want the whole thing. So a lot of times, in Troll and Toad Evo, I've talked about that so many times in this platform. I used to be able to sell stuff on Troll and Toad Evo for $120 gross. They charge shipping. After the 10% fee, I would net 108. Some of those items I would gross 105, 110 on eBay. I would net more on Troll and Toad because they had such an amazing service and charged so little for it that I was able to effectively net more than I would have grossed doing all the work myself. And same thing goes for and I'm one of many consignment services. There's a lot of stuff out there, but most fees are there because they're worth it. Honestly, most fees are there because they're worth it, because they are providing a massive service to you. They are legitimizing it. In the case of eBay, in the case of Troll and Toad, they are doing so much back-end tax compliance, just a lot of red tape they wade through on your behalf. They are collecting and remitting based on the buyer's location. You don't have to worry about economic nexus. You don't have to worry about state-by-state thresholds on, oh, I can't make another sale to New Mexico because then I would be over X amount of dollars, X amount of transactions. And now I have economic nexus in that state. And eBay, Troll and Toad, all these different websites that do all this for you are so undervalued, so underrated. They allow you to grow so much more. Just the fees are worth it 99% of the time. And then, we could go so deep on any one of these, and these will expand out. Let me know in the comments below if you want any one of these 3 bullet points turned into its own video, or even one tiny portion of one of these bullet points turned into its own video. Next week's video is already planned out. I haven't recorded it yet, but I will. That one's definitely going to be settled on what I've talked about, how I do my doing reseller taxes. I don't know what I'll title it, but something along those lines. I will show you how I pull the CSVs, how I do all that. And yeah, let me know. Let me know if you want to see anything else. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you've made these mistakes. I have made all these mistakes, having to, oh, well, that's my grocery bill, but that Walmart purchase is my grocery bill. But that Walmart purchase, that was actually me buying Raichu Shining Legends collection. So I had to wade, not with Pokemon, I'm just making examples, but years ago, I had to wade through this was personal, this was business. It's miserable, it's a nightmare. If everything is separated, it's clean, easy, pull spreadsheets, run with it. If your bank account, you put a black box around your bank account, you do a mass balance around it as if it's a reactor, as if it's a chemical process. And then you track all the money, ins and outs, and you figure out what your tax liability. Then you do all your write-offs, you take all your deductions. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of the tax optimization next year. But yeah, separate your accounts, legitimize your process, legitimize your existence as a business, embrace it, especially if you are here intending to profit. Most people disproportionately watching my channel, very few pure collectors that never sell anything. Most people here, I believe, if you're this far deep and you've never sold anything, let me know in the comments below because that would surprise me. But most people this deep in this video have sold something, intend to sell something for more than they bought it for. By definition, you are doing business, and don't fear fees, don't fear taxes. Don't be ignorant to what goes on and what you could do and what you can't do. Embrace it. Learn. Get professionals in your corner too. Get professionals in your corner. Learn a little bit more. Decrease your ignorance on all this, and you will be a better flipper, collector, investor, whatever you want to call it. A better business. And I'm a better business having done all of these now. So yeah, that's my video for today. I appreciate you all watching. I will catch you all later.